I kind of dropped the ball last week. We did this show, and I didn't introduce you or me. And I got heckled for it pretty hard all week.
People don't even know who we are.
That's what I said.
Just nameless.
I mean, not to mention the fact, if I do go down here and bring up our old background, I don't know what the difficulties were, but I guess to appease everybody, Andrew and I have known each other since we were probably 12, 13 was when we met playing baseball.
Yeah, probably around there.
We met playing I guess when you're 13, it's considered beer league baseball.
Yeah, just call it Little League.
Yeah. Oh, is that? Oh, yeah. Little League's probably the right word. We played some roller hockey for a while, like in the street. We started our own team, Levittown Lightning. I mean, refresh my memory, but we've been talking about trying to do a show like this for at least 3 years now.
Yeah, it's been a very long time.
And Andrew works. I'm in school. I was in school. I was working. The pieces really didn't fall together until a week ago to get it done. So, for those who don't know, I'm Tyler. This is Andrew. I've now covered my grounds with you. Leave me alone.
You did it.
With that being said, not the busiest week. Busy enough. I know the Islanders got their whopping 2 games in. I think you guys had 4?
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, I know you had the Kings, the Sharks.
The Sharks.
Philadelphia tonight.
Yes, sir.
I thought you had more than that. Okay.
Did we play on West Sunday? What day is it today?
We did.
No, it was 3 games this week. We played last Saturday. We played Anaheim.
Well, I'm more impressed that I got all 3 right. You didn't play LA. That's right. Pittsburgh did, because that was one hell of a collapse at the end of the third period.
Listen, I don't want to talk about collapses at the end of a third period after I lost that bet with Minnesota yesterday.
Dude. Well, I mean, you watching the Patriot game?
You know I'm watching the Patriot game. Shut up.
I don't think anybody saw this coming, even, to be honest with you. Don't get me wrong. I expected Buffalo to win, but I expected it to be a lot closer.
I didn't expect a shellacking.
Well, you got a touchdown again.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
So we got our Islander coverage. We got our Ranger coverage. We're going to talk about a couple of trade rumors from earlier in the week. Bobby Clark had some interesting things to say about former Flyers GM Ron Hextall. And based off of our conversation about 2 nights ago, you're pretty heated about some of these all-star snubs. And
there's a couple that don't make sense, yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to make sure you get the time to vent. Don't worry about it. Let's start with the Rangers, though. You had a little bit more of an eventful week. You played more. I know you had a couple of debuts this week. Western Conference trip. Fill us in. What we got?
Force feed me all the Braden Schneider content you possibly can.
Yeah, he definitely looked good in that first game and managed to pull his first goal out too.
I was watching that, and I think MSG is having a problem lately of the sound in the video being ever so slightly off, I've noticed, because I hear all these dudes yelling for a split second, and the puck didn't go in the net yet. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? I couldn't have asked for a better debut from Braden Schneider. He didn't have that typical look of a rookie of like, oh, God, I don't want to make a mistake. I got to back off. I got to play just in my own end. He was super aggressive, shot the puck. Obviously, he scored and laid some big hits, which was awesome. You'd love to see that from a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, it's – I don't even want to say in a weird way. It's just look, rookie debuts, especially when they're producing immediately, are great. But on a D core that a lot of people are not happy with, Jared Tenorti, Patrick Nemeth.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that he should be playing a little bit more regularly, not just off a taxi squad or an emergency call-up basis.
Absolutely. I mean, the last like 5 Rangers rookie defensemen have all debuted in January, so there's something going on there with the Rangers GM, the Rangers front office, and only debuting people in January. But he honestly, with the trade deadline in 2 months, I would not mind seeing Schneider in the lineup constantly and moving Miller.
Really, move Keandre Miller.
Yep, 100%. He has these moments where he looks so great, and he does. He's very, very good. But there's just so many mental mistakes, and I think this might be, at least here, this might be as high as his trade value can get for us unless he really picks it up. He's not bad. I'm not saying he's a bad player. There's just some mental mistakes he makes. There's some giveaways. There's some games where it just does not look good.
Well, I mean, it's kind of with the growing pains. I mean, Keandre Miller is still, I guess, by professional sports standards, a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you look at a guy like, the best example to come to my head is Matt Barzal. Obviously, different positions, different games are expected out of each of them. But for a kid who won the Calder Trophy, he's now entering year 5 of his career, rather. He makes mental mistakes left and right. And I feel it's just one of those things. I mean, how often are you going to get a rookie that's going to be Connor McDavid out of the gate? No mistakes, 3,000 points a game. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if I would be so fast to really start shuffling him around.
Yeah, and my thing is that we need to make a trade. So we're like one move away, I think, from being. Obviously, we're high up in the standings, but when it comes playoff time, like I think we need one more piece to really be a real threat. And it's going to be a defenseman. We're going to talk about this guy later, who I want. And we're going to have to move either Keandre Miller or Nils Lundqvist. And of the two, I think our return is going to be better with Keandre Miller.
Okay. I mean, I don't disagree, but I don't completely agree. I think if I was the Rangers, the front office, I'd probably be looking for like a depth center also. I know your bottom 6 are kind of struggling a little bit. Not necessarily their fault. I know that COVID, like the rest of the league, is taking a toll on lineups. Guys can't mesh. They can't build a chemistry. But I know that your bottom 6 forwards have kind of been a little bit iffy for the last about 2-3 years-ish, give or take.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of think that would be something they look at too. But again, it's also no pun intended if the price is right.
Yeah.
Especially
absolutely
if you're going to, look, this is going to be a really, really deep free agency class.
Yes.
It's, you know what I mean? And we say that now, but in a month, people can sign. People re-sign. But at the moment, it's holy crap. I mean, you got names all over the place.
Yeah.
But Braden Schneider was not your only Ranger debut this week.
No, it was a lot. Listen, it was a fun week to be a Ranger fan, except for Monday. And they lost because I bet on them. I'm telling you right now, they lost because I bet on them.
I've been there more than a few times this week.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. It's a really sore spot with the freaking Minnesota game. No, it was not our only debut. What's his name? Morgan
Greco.
Yes, Greco. Sorry, Anthony Greco, dude from Queens. Yeah, you love to see it. Homegrown.
Yeah, homegrown, lifelong fan. I mean, I'm not a Ranger fan by any stretch of the imagination here, but those feel good stories hit different.
Yeah, they do, especially with what was it, his father that passed away in 9/11.
Yeah,
he comes play for the Rangers. Like that's got to be overwhelming for him, and he played a very good game too. And that's
no, he did. Yeah, I did. I caught the middle of the second on to the rest of the game, and he looked pretty good. I mean,
yeah, no complaints.
I think for him, a guy that like, if he wasn't on a Rangers team that didn't, if the Rangers needed him in the lineup, he'd be there every day.
Yeah,
but even though, like we were just saying, your bottom 6 is kind of all over the place, it's not bad enough to the point where they're not producing either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a shame because, obviously, talented kid, he should be playing. And I think on almost every other team, with the handful of exceptions, he'd probably be an MVP guy.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe bet. But yeah, I mean, played a great game. He kind of reminded me he was a microcosm of like Colin Blackwell, where he came out of nowhere and ended up being a very important piece to the puzzle. Kind of like Dryden Hunt too, is playing really well. You know, I don't think it's going to be an extended thing, but knowing we have him in the reserves, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, if when the playoffs roll around, if they do what they've done in the past and taxi squads expand or your playoff roster expands a little bit, which I know the actual playoff roster expansion hasn't really happened in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But you would think with all this COVID stuff, the taxi squads are going to expand for the playoffs. I would see, as long as, of course, you guys made it, he's a no-brainer. Like, he's got
absolutely.
a taxi squad. Unless there's some other, like, you absolutely have to get another guy on.
Unless we somehow get Kravtsov back from Russia, I don't see that happening.
I wouldn't. That's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
No, he's on loan until I want to say April.
I mean, that's not too far fetched, to be honest.
Technically, he could play in the playoffs, but I don't know how his relationship would. Yeah, if Drury has mended things with him or not. I hope he did, because he's good.
I mean, it's one. Look, I hate to break it to you, but if you're, I know that the hype surrounding the kid is high, but if they're not going to get along now, you might want to just move him for pieces, because he'll play.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I would get rid of him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, ideally, I would want him to come back, play in the playoffs, and then trade him once he plays halfway decent in the playoffs. Because I mean, if he reacted that way to being sent down to Hartford for 2 weeks, he's not going to make it in New York.
No, and look, we've seen it through all New York sports. There are some people who just can't handle New York, the atmosphere, the media. And look, for your sake, I hope he's not one of them, because he's going to be something special one day. I mean, I'm not talking 5, 6, 7 Hart trophies, but
of course
he can be a key piece to the future for you guys. So, I mean, but at the same time, you know, because he's so highly regarded as being a key piece for the future, he could bring you in somebody pretty big too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not a total loss if he doesn't show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as long as we can get something back for him, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, just don't let him walk as don't let him walk as a UFA or an RFA and let him take an offer sheet. You know, that would be ridiculous.
Of course. What else we have? And then, my favorite part of the whole week was the return of Mr. Igor, just absolutely lighting up the stat sheet, proving he's going to win the Vezina. Calling it now, even though I called it last week.
I mean, look, the whole Vezina argument's kind of hard to. It gets harder to argue with you every week. But then Jacob Markstrom does something unbelievable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's gonna go for the next couple months.
I mean, look, the way I see it, honestly, if the Vezina finalists are Shesterkin, Markstrom, and Thatcher Demko at this point, it wouldn't shock me, because the league has this weird thing for Thatcher Demko at the moment.
It does.
For what are they, a 6th place team or 7th place team now?
I think they're in 6 right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't like it.
No comment. It's weird. It is very weird. But yeah, no, absolutely. If those are the finalists, I mean, I'd be pretty happy. I still see people saying Jack Campbell, but that's not going to last.
Jack Campbell's got to win 29 of his next 30 games.
Yeah, exactly. Which
going back to what we were talking about last week, though, on a team like Toronto, one of us should be able to hop in that net and blank a team easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, who was it? Who was it 2-3 years ago? Maybe even been longer. I forgot. What was that goalie's name?
The one that shut out the Leafs?
No, I think it was the one who debuted for the Leafs and had back-to-back shutouts. And he was the first Leaf ever to do it. But I think wasn't that Garrett Sparks? He had those he had the weird leg pads that were just they were checkerboard Maple Leafs.
Oh my god, I know exactly what you're talking about. Hold on, I'm researching.
Do some research.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so and I don't even know where he is now. I think he's actually the backup in LA, where he's the 3rd string in LA. I know he's not in Toronto.
He is in LA, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But back to the Rangers. Looking at your upcoming schedule for this week, could be a little bit friendlier. I mean,
I'll be at the game on Wednesday against Toronto, so win for me, baby.
Oh, I don't envy you at all. I hate that team. Well, I mean, look, when you're predicting a week-long schedule and you see Arizona's in the mix, you got pretty good odds as is.
Unless you're Toronto.
Or unless you're Colorado and you score
on
the 60-minute bets, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy that. So we play Toronto on Wednesday, and then We're in Carolina on Friday, and then we come home to play the Coyotes on Saturday. I'm very happy that the Coyotes are the second game of that back-to-back, because playing Carolina on the second head of a back-to-back would suck.
That would not be ideal.
No, we'd get dominated. I think I see it 2-1 week. I think we beat Toronto. The Rangers usually win when I go.
Fair.
And it's like we said last week about Toronto. You don't never know what to expect with them. The Rangers just won 3 out of 5, and then 2 before that. They're on a pretty good run right now. Igor's back.
So you've won 3 of your last 5 and 5 of your last 7.
5 of 7, yeah. We're starting with that. Yep.
I mean, look, 5-2 is still a winning record.
Yeah, it's if you break it up into 5-game segments, I mean that's pretty nice.
So looking at your week ahead, what are you thinking? 2-0, 2-1, 3-0?
2-1. 2-1. We don't beat Carolina at home. I don't think we do.
I'm gonna go 2-1. But I think you're gonna sweep the back-to-back, and Toronto's gonna get you. No,
really? You think? Okay, listen. If you think we can go into Carolina and beat Carolina, thank you.
Look, my thing with Toronto, and that's really who my decision is really focal pointed around. They're either going to hit you for 15 shots and 6 goals, or they're going to hit you for 45 shots and 1 goal.
yeah, as proven.
You know what I mean? Carolina, I feel, as crazy as it sounds to you, I feel like there's just something about you and Carolina where you just have their number.
Could be.
And, Arizona is basically a scrimmage game. So,
could be.
I mean, rolling into the Islander portion, my schedule is not much different than yours.
Yeah.
I've got a home and home with Philadelphia on Monday, Tuesday. Friday, I have Arizona. And Saturday, we have Toronto.
Yeah, there you go.
It's always a fun time when Toronto comes into town. I really shouldn't have to explain that one too much.
Yeah.
Arizona, it's kind of a damn shame when I got to actually consider Arizona a hit or miss team for the Islanders.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. I mean, it's so hard at least for me and probably for you too, to predict what the Islanders are going to do right now, just because of the way their season started versus the way. I mean, they've looked a lot better the past couple games. I mean, they lost to Washington today, but they still didn't look bad.
Right.
I mean, I can give them probably 2-2 in just 4 games. You probably split with Philly, beat Arizona, and lose to Toronto.
I'm more. I'm going to say, and I hate to say it, they're either going to go 3-1 or 2-2. And I think the deciding factor, as crazy as it's going to sound, is which goalie you see first in the Philly doubleheader.
That's what I was going to say about the Rangers with Carolina and Arizona as well. That's true.
Well, the thing is looking at Carolina's schedule, they don't have a doubleheader this weekend.
Yeah.
They're going to say, oh, no, they do actually.
They have a home and home back-to-back?
They had a game rescheduled. They play the Devils.
Oh.
So it makes you want. Looking at that, I have a feeling, I feel like they're going to show you guys Freddie Anderson. Like, I feel like that's not even a question at this point.
Yeah.
As far as, you should be showing them.
Igor should be playing against them.
I would give Igor to Carolina, let Georgiev to Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next week for you guys, I would go Igor, and
Georgiev. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, it depends with Philly who you see first. That's how I gauge it. Because if you see the backup, not to say that any backup is a bad backup, but if you can pepper up the backup Monday night and you can carry some of that momentum into Tuesday, you might get to their starting goalie fairly fast.
This is true.
I mean, look, that's just kind of, I don't know, wishful thinking at this point.
Yeah.
Arizona, I mean, we both had some wild things to say about them this week. We watched a 2-13 goalie make 46 saves and win a 1-0 game.
Unreal.
They took Colorado to a shootout last night.
Unreal times two.
You know what I mean? It's like Arizona can hang. They just have absolutely no defense or goaltending.
Yeah, but that's hockey, though. Anyone can beat anybody on any given night. It's the most balanced sport in the world.
I would sit safer saying 2-2. I say we take one from Philly. We'll take Arizona. Toronto, I'm not so confident in. And the Islanders historically do not do well in the doubleheader.
Yeah.
You know, it's not often they go 2-0. You know what I mean? It's usually 0-2 or 1-1.
Yeah.
Back to your point, though. I mean, they really haven't looked horrible this week.
No, ever since coming back from their extended COVID break, they haven't looked bad.
Well, so when you figure Thursday was the first time the Islanders had played in 12 days.
Yeah.
Last week they were supposed to be on a West Coast trip with Seattle, Vancouver, and Edmonton. That whole thing, obviously, with COVID restrictions, was canceled or postponed, I should say, rather. So their last game was New Year's Day with Edmonton in the 3-2 overtime win. That was the last time they played. Sorokin gave the Devils a gift. I don't know if you saw the first goal of the night. It hit his stick, bounced off his shoulder right up. Right top shelf. You could see it on his face, or you could see it just in his body emotion, rather, that was not, there was no reason.
Yeah.
But they played well. For like I said, again, for a team that hasn't played, they played like they hadn't really skipped a beat. Today, a little bit more of a different story. Yeah. But I'm kind of not as willing to put the blame. I mean, look, you can't blame Varlamov for anything that happened today. The guy made 36 saves.
Yeah, absolutely.
35 saves on 36 shots. Capitals obviously made sure to feed Ovechkin the empty netter, help him catch Gretzky.
Of course.
Because that's been the MO all year.
Yep.
The defense was borderline on point money for the Islanders. Tom Wilson, he was I'm going to call him the lone goal scorer. I'm not counting the empty net goal.
I never count him. Yeah.
He got left wide open in the slot. I mean, if you can't bury that game should have went to overtime with no score.
Mm-hmm.
But the defense was awesome. Pelech was always in the right spot. Dobson continuously is getting better, and his puck movement is improving every game. Andy Green and Chara looked great. They were in the right spots all game. Nothing drives me crazier when I'm trying to work and I've got 15,000 people screaming behind me for Chara to get back to the bench, and all because a puck hit him in the leg. Like, oh, how dare you do your job?
Yeah.
Like,
that's just people who don't get it.
There's people that don't understand why he's there. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, you seem like a smart cookie. It's pretty safe to say that he's there for he's not there for the games in December and January. He's there for the games in April.
Exactly.
When that nonsense game with Arizona, that turns into a 4-point game.
Yeah, exactly.
You know Andy Green is the ageless wonder. But I think still, regardless, at the end of the season, he's got to go.
Yeah, he won't be there anymore. I mean, he served his purpose.
I mean, you got to also remember he was only brought back this year because they needed to make sure he was exposed for the draft because we didn't have any, we had no one to expose.
Mm-hmm.
When you have guys like Robin Salo, and look, I'm grateful that kid is finding lineup time, but you got Robin Salo, Sebastian Aho, the defenseman, floating around through the Bridgeport system. These are all kids that, like, Aho has been here for 5 or 6 years now. Like, it's been a while. Like, you either got to play him or you got to ship him out of here.
Or move on, yeah.
Yeah, like,
how long are you going to let it sit?
You know, it's an ongoing, I don't even, it's so sad that I call it a joke, but it's so close to the truth now. Players go to Bridgeport to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You know, with some exceptions. I mean, Josh Hosang, he buried himself.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. You know, Michael Dalcol. I think he spent way too much time in Bridgeport. He should not have been there as long as he was. But again, 3 years ago when Barry Trotz first got here and he was giving him a chance, you know, you don't have to be a 30-goal scorer to be an effective player in the league.
He's got to not screw up.
What's that?
You just got to not screw up.
Like, well, yeah, no, you just have to. You have to literally do your job.
Hold your own, yeah.
Like the guys like Barzal, Ovechkin, Pasternak. Those are the guys that are supposed to be scoring 35 goals a year.
Yeah.
Guys like Dalcol is supposed to be making sure that guy is scoring.
Yeah, you're a piece to the puzzle. It's what you have to be.
And Dalcol, you know, like I said, I feel. Look, my biggest problem with hockey fans now is they do all of their research based on stats.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, this guy doesn't score 30 goals. He's terrible. It's like, no, he doesn't score 30 goals, but he's going to block 300 shots this season and probably finish with 45 assists. You know, assists are pretty important too.
Just a bit.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Varley played great today. The defense was great. The old Islander MO, they got to learn how to start shooting.
One day they will.
One day. I mean,
one day. When the day is, who knows? But one day.
Look, I've been saying for like 2 or 3 years now that, like, if Barzal took a quarter of the passes he makes and turned them into shooting chances, he'd be a 40-goal scorer overnight.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't pay attention to the Islanders every single day of everything, but from outside looking in, it just seems like Barzal never took that next step. Like, obviously he's an established player. He's great, but I feel like he could truly be an elite player in the league. I'm talking a top 15 player in the league, but he's just not taking that step. So, from the outside looking in, what is that step? What does he need? I wish I could tell you. It's just looking at him, the way he seems is still like a sophomore player who's making great plays every now and again, but is not finishing, is missing something. I still see him as a young learning player. I think he needs a legitimate, like, elite winger next to him. Yeah, and that absolutely could do it. I mean, 100% can do it. Like, I'm sorry, I love the guy. Josh Bailey should not be playing on the first line. No, absolutely not. Anders Lee is not a first-line player on any other team in this league except maybe Seattle and Arizona. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and I get he's my captain. I don't want to talk too much about him, but it's just like Kyle Palmieri should be on that first line, and I get it. They tried. It's not working yet. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but like, you know who I would like to see with Barzal? Not exactly, a person, a bigger build, Johnny Gaudreau. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be willing to put. Look, obviously not him exactly. I don't want. Yeah, of course. That's a very, very small first line that's going to get very beat up very fast. Mm-hmm. Someone of that player caliber, of that type. Yeah, of that skill set. Yeah. I think I can only imagine what Barzal and Tarasenko would look like together. Oh my God, that would be disgusting. Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's just missing that piece. And honestly, I think within some point in time, I think Wahlstrom's going to be that piece.
He could be. Wahlstrom he looks excellent.
This and that was a kid who was like I don't want to say struggling to get into the lineup last year, but like it's in the first half of the 56 games last year, it seemed like they took him out of the lineup every chance they could.
Yeah.
And now it's like now you have 18,000 people aiming for your head if you pull them out of the lineup.
Trust me, I'm very familiar with management pulling young players out of a game too early, too much. No stranger to that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm aware. So we did agree earlier this week. We're not going to show any bias on here. Although you're a Ranger fan and I'm an Islander fan, there is still one other team in the tri-state. We do have to cover the Devils a little bit.
We do have to talk about the Devils.
So let's hop into our Devils coverage.
Let's. Oh my God.
Moving on. Look, I know we got to get into our All-Star picks, but there were some trade rumor talks this week. People wanting out.
Yep.
People who are supposedly on their way out. And guys who are just, this is their trade deadline. Like, your contract's coming up, you got to go.
Yep.
Let's start with one guy who could possibly end up on the Rangers. Let's start with Thomas Hertl.
Yeah, this kind of caught me off guard, to be honest, about ending up on the Rangers. It didn't, I should say, but I wouldn't expect him to end up on the team, to be honest, but I won't say no.
So, like a couple of the people we're going to talk about today, this is a contract year.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a UFA at the end of the year. To see that the Sharks are in a spot where they can contend for a playoff spot and they're going to be looking to sell somebody is a little bit weird.
It's a little backwards.
It's hard to explain that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, solid goal scorer. You know, he's good for about 20, 25 goals. You might get anywhere between 25 to 40 assists out of him. So give him a rough average of 50 to 60, 75 points.
Yeah, that's a safe average.
I would say that's a safe average.
Yeah, because I think he's got 20 goals already this year.
So, unless you don't want him on the Rangers, of course, who goes for him? And what kind of asking price do you think is going to be going for that guy?
The price is difficult.
Okay.
What's he making right now? 4?
He can't be making that much. Actually,
yeah, he's making 3.5.
Is it really that hit? That's it.
Yeah, so I mean, he's not taking. The team that gets him is not taking a crazy cap hit.
Okay, fair. So, that's fair.
I mean, honestly, I think he stays with San Jose.
You think
if San Jose can get him an offer, I think he stays there.
Okay. Now, based off of your elite assessment, of course, because we're professionals here.
We are the best.
Who? How much you paying him? How long are you giving him?
Bro, with contracts now, that's an awful question. I could see him giving him maybe 5-6 a year.
Okay.
How old is he? He is 28.
Yeah, 28.
I wouldn't want to give him more than 4 to 5 years.
If I'm re-signing him, I'd probably give him 4 to 5 years at like 5 per.
Yeah, because you also got to think of the state of the Sharks. Most of their guys are getting on the older side.
Well, you figure the cap they're probably going to save. You figure the cap they're getting back from Evander Kane's contract being terminated.
Mm-hmm.
You figure Mark-Edward Vlasic's contract's got to be coming up in the next couple of years. Burns' contract's got to be coming up in the next couple of years. The Sharks will have the money to do it eventually, but I guess really the point is now, do they have that money now?
Yeah.
If they're going to trade him, it's hard to not say the Rangers because he's almost like ideally what you'd probably.
He does fit very well. He
fits very well. I'm probably going to say this for a lot of guys that we're going to talk about today. Like we were talking about last week, how do you not worry about Pittsburgh not coming in and start taking all these guys? Because again, like we were talking about, Pittsburgh is borderline notorious for these. Just let's go get this random guy. I still think if he gets moved, the Rangers are probably where he's going. I
agree with you if he does, if he gets moved. Because I'm just so confident that he stays with San Jose. Okay. But if I were to say where would he go, it's got to be New York.
Yeah, but again, it's also, like we were saying, what the asking price is.
Of course, yeah.
Especially, I mean, I just don't see them making that move if they're still hunting down a playoff spot. I mean, you figure they can't be any lower than like fourth place right now.
No, they're fourth right now, and they have the last wild card spot in the West right now.
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest with you. The fact that that San Jose is even on, that they even have a play that they're worrying about, unless, look, if the playoffs roll around or the deadline rolls around, whether you're in a playoff spot or not, and you know this kid's not staying, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Unless you're really like, you really think you can do it. Does it pay to keep him around for a potential first or second round bump?
No, I don't think it does at all.
Because, I mean, you think about it right now, there's a second wild card. So they're staring at, if the playoffs start today, they're staring Colorado in the face.
Which is a death sentence.
Yeah, that's a death sentence. And if they somehow make it through Colorado, they're looking at Nashville, Vegas, or Anaheim, and that's a borderline death sentence as well.
And yeah, I mean, when your best odds is playing Anaheim, that's not good.
When the team you want to play is Anaheim, especially this year, you're going to have a bad time.
And I just don't think they're going to be there come March anyway. I think they do drop.
Looking at this, you have seen it in their game a little bit that they're starting to kind of cool off. When you factor in though that a lot of teams, I mean, even the hottest teams in the league tend to have a cool down period. I mean, how hot were the Oilers for the first 2 months of the season?
Yeah.
And then I think they lost 8 out of 9.
Dude, something like that. It was a nuts.
I actually don't even think they've still really done a ton of winning since.
No, they haven't. I mean, they've played a lot of games. But you're looking at that division, San Jose, I think, ends up in like 6th or something. They got Calgary and Edmonton below them. I think they both pick it up. They both come ahead of them. You might see LA drop too, but I can't. I personally cannot see San Jose being in a playoff spot come the deadline.
No, I mean, Calgary and Winnipeg alone. Forget about Edmonton for a minute. Calgary and Winnipeg alone, both love to make full speed sprints at the playoffs through March.
Yeah, you can say that again.
You know what I mean? So it wouldn't surprise me if not only San Jose but Minnesota got knocked out, or if they even climbed up even farther and ended up knocking out a team like LA. Hopping into the top 3 of the division is kind of a little bit of a stretch, but if you think about it, you look at the wild card standings just in the West, and everybody from Edmonton up to Minnesota that's fair game. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be a tight race for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, because look, 5 points separates Minnesota and San Jose. Minnesota's going to be a little harder to catch.
Yeah.
But then Edmonton, Calgary, and Winnipeg are all separated by no more than 2 points. So, like, you figure, like, this time tomorrow, if Edmonton wins, they're going to jump into the 3rd seed, to the 3 spot if Calgary loses.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, honestly, if you look all the way down, even at the 8th spot in Chicago, they're only 3 points behind Edmonton. You know,
yeah, it's a super tight race.
Like, this is the tightest at the midpoint that the West has probably been in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one guy who, if Arizona is smart, should all but certainly be traded.
This is the man I want.
I know this is the man you want, and this is the man that there's 31 other teams in the league.
Yeah.
Jacob Chikran, probably the definition of a under the radar defenseman.
Absolutely, because he plays in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, unless your name is Phil Kessel, you don't really get recognition for playing in Arizona.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just the way it works. Going into the season, or at the point of the season now, 26 games played, 7 points, kind of probably what you would expect. The plus minus is such a bad stat.
It doesn't mean anything.
It's
you're
like,
on Arizona. How are you going to get pluses?
That's what I mean. Like, the plus minus is one of those stats where, like, I don't know. It's so many people pay attention to it.
It's disgusting how many people pay attention to it. It's meaningless.
Yeah, like there was I was looking at it the other day. I couldn't, because the league for some reason decides that tracking plus minus is a good stat. If I think like the highest plus minus in the league this year is like a plus 33, which is absolutely absurd. You know what I mean? When your plus minus is that high, then yeah, it's kind of worth looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like he was saying, how do you play on Arizona and expect a good plus minus? That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
Again, there's 31 teams that could absolutely make room for this guy and get him in.
Mm-hmm.
I know you want him, but now circling back to a point you made before, to get Braden Schneider playing, shuffling around Keandre Miller, how the hell do you get this guy in the lineup?
That's when, I mean, you probably have to package possibly Miller and Lundqvist. I mean, we know his asking price is going to be very high. He's going to get almost an Eichel level return, in my opinion.
Right.
So if the Rangers are going to package something, it's going to be 2 excellent prospects. It could be Kravtsov. It could be Miller. It could be Lundqvist. It could be any mix of these guys. And most likely their draft pick next year and the year after.
Your first round picks.
Yes.
You're willing to pay for this man.
If all reports indicate that he's going to get an Eichel return. So,
well, I mean, you think about it.
And I personally would be willing to pay for it, yes.
I mean, you gotta think about it. The term, the phrase Eichel return is so inappropriately used these last few weeks, because what Buffalo wanted and what Buffalo got did not match.
Yeah.
For a guy who's got, I think, 4 years left after this year with a 4.6 cap hit, you're going to pay for it. Am I willing to give up really 2 of my higher end prospects and 2 draft picks and probably even more stuff than that? I don't know. And maybe that's just coming from me because for the first time in a long time, or for the first time period of my life in a long time, defense is not where the Islanders are hurting. Yeah. So maybe I just don't see it. But I can't think of a team that he wouldn't immediately change the game on.
Yeah, everybody benefits.
Can you imagine putting this kid in Edmonton?
Oh my God.
Put him on the power play, get Duncan Heat the hell out of there. Oh my God.
Everybody would benefit from him. I mean, I think you can see like LA is going to be a front runner for him. You can maybe see the Ducks, maybe Minnesota.
Don't forget Pittsburgh. You have to put Pittsburgh
on. You always have to put Pittsburgh.
It's the rule. You have to put Pittsburgh on.
But yeah, it's going to be whoever can offer up the most. And I don't know the other team's farm systems too well, but I know the Rangers have an abundance in their farm system and their draft picks.
Crazy idea.
Hit me.
Florida.
No, please don't.
Yeah,
please don't.
That makes things very dangerous.
That's game over.
That's Florida wins a cup.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
As I look through the standings right here, and maybe there are a couple more teams than I thought that probably don't need him. Obviously, Tampa.
Yeah.
Tampa, they don't need anything. They stay away from everybody.
Please.
Boston's kind of one of those on the fence teams, I guess. They could use him, but they don't really need him. But I don't even know if they can really afford him. Because I know that going into last offseason, they were kind of cap struck.
Yeah.
Buffalo can use all the help they can get. Same goes for Ottawa and Montreal.
No shot he says okay to go into Buffalo, though.
Does he have a no trade?
No, but I think Arizona will definitely keep his interests in mind. I don't think it's a sour situation like Eichel's was.
That's fair. Nashville. Oh, my. No, could you put this kid on Colorado?
No, stop. Again, no. Enough.
You know where I could see him actually fitting pretty well? Minnesota.
Yeah,
I mean,
obviously Minnesota is an attractive spot for any hockey player to go, so they got that going for him.
Well, you think about the jersey color is not going to change too much. He probably gets to wear the same. Probably would rule out St. Louis.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I almost have to rule out Chicago.
Detroit?
You think so?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, Detroit has enough money to really pay the entire league right now. I think they're barely above the cap floor.
They got to cap friendly, but that's probably right.
You read my mind. That's where I'm going. They did make up with it. They made up some of the cap a little bit. I didn't even realize they bought out Franz Nielsen. That's kind of sad.
Oh,
poor baby. They got a lot of people on the IR, so they're eating a lot of IR penalty right now. They got just over 11 million in space.
So they're good.
So I mean, they could do it. I mean, look, to pay him for the next couple of years, they could absolutely do it. And you think about it, Detroit's got a couple of picks in this year's draft coming up.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a second-round pick from the Capitals, a fourth-round pick from Colorado, a fourth-round pick from Vegas. Obviously, those are not the picks that are going to get what you need, but any smart GM, and Steve Yzerman is one of those, knows how to package those up. I wouldn't worry about it too much. We're getting off topic here a little bit.
Crunching numbers, dude.
Yeah, well, this is number crunching. I mean, maybe Anaheim. I doubt it. Vegas, I don't think they have any money left. He's probably going to be the most interesting one when the deadline rolls around.
He's the big fish. Yeah, absolutely.
He's the big fish with trades. One trade that caught me kind of off guard, but I also know that this is a contract year for him as well, was Claude Giroux.
Interesting.
Again, he is coming into his contract year. I made sure I used this Winter Classic photo just because I know you're here. We spoke about him a bit last week.
Yeah.
And we both pretty much agree that he will go down as one of the most overrated captains in the league's history.
Yeah, completely agree.
When you consider when you look at his numbers career, he's not that far away from a point a game. You know what I mean?
And I think the one thing what we did say though was, obviously he's overrated, but he was overrated because he was considered insanely elite. He is a very good player who definitely will make an impact.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the fact that this guy ever commanded $8.5 million when the cap was low is still
unreal. Yeah.
I mean, this season not having a very bad year at all. You know, just about 30 points through 33 games, so he's keeping up with his career average too, just about a point a game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw this, but I saw him linked to you guys a couple of times too.
I'll kill myself.
Okay. I wouldn't do that. I mean,
I didn't know. I don't want him at all.
See, the only problem I have with him, although I don't think he'll be a Flyer next year, I also don't know if anybody's really willing to trade for him.
Yeah. I wouldn't really. I don't even know what situation I'd have to be in to look for him. Like maybe if you're a young playoff team with a genuine chance needing a veteran presence. So I guess that I just described the Rangers.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, and I wasn't going to say it. I was going to wait for you to say it. I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, I'm upset about that. I need to find another team that I can say that, not us. But I hate that makes sense. Well, I mean, if we don't give up a lot, take them.
I mean, there's a couple of teams out there that you
Anaheim
to say there that. Could really
put him and Getzlaf together and have fun.
I wouldn't put those two anywhere near each other. Putting two psychopaths in the ball pit. Yeah, you could put him. I mean, I'm probably going to reference this team a couple of times tonight, but you could put him on a fairly inexperienced Minnesota team. I mean,
him and Zuccarello could work some magic.
I could see them doing some third line magic together. I mean, for a tiny guy, Zuccarello throws some big hits.
Mm-hmm.
Giroux is a physical player.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the aura that comes with Philadelphia or if that's truly his game. Oh, you know who else we're kind of forgetting in this whole? They could definitely trade for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto.
No,
they trade for everybody,
and they're going to lose in the first round.
Yeah, basically. But I think they've got like 9 centers already in the lineup.
Yeah, they cannot fit him. There's just no way. Yeah, imagine the state of Pennsylvania if this man goes to Pittsburgh.
See, this is the only person I would rule him out of Pittsburgh.
That's you would think that.
You would think, but I don't know. I mean, on paper, the only team that really makes sense would be the Rangers. I just don't see it happening. I unless someone is desperate for that veteran presence, I don't see anybody doing. I don't see anybody.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean,
maybe you know what? Maybe San Jose.
If they're still in it, maybe.
And that's how desperate they are. And you also got to remember, he does have a full no trade. He's got it okay to move too.
Yeah, you're right.
Which definitely makes the whole process a tad bit harder for the team. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm sorry. He's got a full no movement clause.
Oh, wow.
Full no move. So they're either stuck with him or they're basically going to have who paid this man $8.2 million?
Yeah, that's crazy. Personally, I think he might want to try and get out and get to a contender, but with that contract, that's a nightmare.
Well, he's going to be a free agent this summer, so you would think that they were going to have to eat half.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, they're not doing too well in cap either. They have about $4,000 in space. I'm so far from kidding.
Oh no!
I mean, like I said, but even if they eat half of it, they'll get $4 million back on the cap.
Yeah.
Personally, if I'm the GM, I'm not gonna touch them. I'm not gonna touch Giroux.
Absolutely not. I mean, this guy's making the same amount of money as Mika Zibanejad. That's insane.
Yeah, that just does not make sense. I mean, he's making, I think on his last contract before he re-upped this past summer, I think he's making more than Ovechkin.
That's unreal.
I want to be wrong in the worst way, and I'm going to fact check it while we talk about this. Because Ovechkin, okay, think about it this way. Ovechkin now is only making 9.5.
Easy, dude.
No,
you got to consider like the stage of the career that he's at. But like,
credit where it's due. He's 36.
Yeah.
So to be making 9.5 at 36 is fantastic.
Even though he's going to win the Hart Trophy, but whatever.
So actually, okay, I was very wrong. Ovechkin took a $500,000 pay cut to stay here.
I mean, that's the move.
But he was still making almost as much as Alexander Ovechkin.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's insane.
I mean, you don't hear his name mentioned ever. You watch NHL Net for a week, I guarantee you don't hear his name.
All right, how about this? You ready? He's making $500K less than Crosby. Like, who thought this was a good idea at the time?
When did he sign that contract?
Let's find. You know what? Let's find out.
This had to be like a 7-year contract or something.
He signed this contract in 2014. So
okay, I mean,
at the time he signed a max deal. He signed max years.
I was going to say, that's a crap ton of money. I mean, it's a crap ton of money now for hockey players, but in 2014?
Okay, so I mean, when you break it down, it sounds a lot worse. It was a 7-year, $66 million.
Okay.
Which, I look, don't get me wrong, you'll never be able to help me justify that he earned that money, because he did not.
No, but what, they backloaded it?
No.
They front-loaded it?
They evenly loaded it.
Okay, 8. Yeah, I had my math wrong.
Well,
still, I mean,
all right, they kind of middle loaded it.
Oh, they went like, okay.
Yeah, he made $5 million the first 2 years, $9 million base salary, not cap hit.
Yeah,
$9 million the middle 2 years, 7.25, and he's making $4 this year base. He got $1 million signing bonus this year, $3 million signing bonus 2 years ago, and the year he signed the contract, he got a $5 million signing bonus. Like, what?
All right, listen, I mean, that 2014, you want to give a guy who had 28 goals,
86
max contract?
He was
That's
over
a good season, but max contract?
I think 2013, this is going to sound crazy, but this was considered his quote-unquote breakout year.
Yeah.
Being both gamers, you and I both know this, he graced ever so graciously the cover of NHL 13. The second to last game on the 360 right before Brodeur. Remember that?
The best NHL game ever made, yes.
What, 14?
13.
No, 14 was the best, sorry.
We'll fight on that forever.
Actually, I'll be honest with you, 12 was the best.
They had a good run back then. I wish it was still that good.
Yeah, before it was the garbage they throw at us now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, because this was considered his quote-unquote breakout.
He's only touched that point total once since then.
I'm pretty sure he was a Hart Trophy runner-up this year. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he came in third.
It was him, Getzlaf, and Giroux were the finalists. And Crosby, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, he was up for a couple of other awards. He was up for the Ted Lindsay and lost. It's kind of it. I mean,
that's the only. He was up for the Bing once. He finished 9th. I mean,
this was.
Yeah, I mean,
this was when the Rangers beat the. This was when the Kings beat the Rangers in the Cup Finals.
Shut up.
That was a good
year. Have a Cup loss to talk about. Shut up.
That was uncalled for. Probably the last big trade rumor of the week, and strictly because this guy just flat wants out. John Klingberg.
Yeah, that makes me sad.
And I know you. Yeah, I know you acknowledge your Stars as your second team. So, by all means,
Listen. He's He's a great hockey player. Whatever team he goes to is going to benefit a lot from him. The Stars are just such a weird team that one night they'll look so good, one night they'll look like absolute dog crap. I think I would love him on the Rangers if we don't get Chikran. I did hear some rumors that he's playing down the trade rumors, but who knows if he's just doing that to save face. I mean, like, I've watched him play. He's a good player.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, even though defensemen are not typically expected to have crazy point numbers unless your name is Victor Hedman or 2015 Brent Burns.
Yeah.
17 points through 30 games is pretty respectable as a defenseman.
Absolutely. Especially on a Dallas team that sometimes, depending on the night, will look anemic.
Well, yeah, sometimes depending on the night, they look like an 8th place team or a 1st place team.
Yeah.
And recently, I'm not going to mention any names, but the Florida Panthers made them look like an 8th place team this week.
Yeah, that was awful.
With that, what was it, 7-3 was the final?
Yeah, and then just the Panthers also scored 9 goals today, so they're just
no.
Yeah, they won like 9-1 or something.
You kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
I got to look at that. I don't believe you.
I'm not kidding.
Not lying.
Yeah.
I need to know who scored. Oh,
they scored 16 goals in 48 hours.
That should be illegal.
Yeah.
They had 2 players with 2 goals. Almost everybody on the team had a point.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Minus 5 guys. It's
unreal what they just did in a 2-day span.
And Dallas is an older team. I mean, Sagan's up there, Ben's up there, Pavelski is up there. Is this considered elder abuse?
Listen, we're not that old. We got Jason Robertson and Miro. We're not that old.
All right, well, you're not that young either.
But they're abusing Jamie Benn, and they got to stop.
Oh, all right. I take that back. I'm looking at cap friendly. Sagan hasn't even turned 30 yet.
No, are you serious?
He's 29.
Okay,
and Jamie Benn is only 32. That's kind of even more concerning.
I knew he was 30. He was in his low 30s. I thought Sagan was at least 30. That just sent me on an existential crisis.
Well, that's kind of more terrifying. Well, I mean, you got him locked up for a while.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going anywhere. He loves to be in Dallas, but back to Klingberg. I don't know. It's going to be a very messy situation come the deadline for Dallas because they're just in such an in-between spot right now. And obviously, if they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to want him. Again, if they want to give him to the Rangers, I'll take him.
I see Dallas being very spiteful here. And because this is his contract year, he will be a UFA.
Yeah.
Come July 13th. I see them making him wait it out and just not giving him the benefit.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you think about it, as crazy as it's going to sound, he's really asking out for no good reason.
Yeah,
he gets plenty of playing time. He's producing. He's playing on the first or second unit. I think he's playing on the first line. First deep.
I'm pretty sure they pair him with Miro Heiskanen a bunch.
Yeah, so he's got to be getting power play time. He's more than likely getting penalty kill time. And look, don't get me wrong, he could just be unhappy in Dallas, and that's fine. People are unhappy.
It is what it is, yeah.
You know, I had a captain here once who I thought was happy here, and that backfired.
But he had to stick with the pajamas.
Yeah, he forgot his Maple Leaf sheets and Star Wars blanket at home in Ontario. I don't see him being moved.
I mean, if he's gonna leave, I hope he gets moved. But I could definitely see a point there where they're gonna be spiteful and make him wait it out.
Well, I mean, because Dallas is another one of those teams where they're not particularly hurting for some draft capital. They have all of their own picks for the next 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too familiar with what they got going on in their system.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, so, I mean, if they're looking to get some draft capital, you could probably get a first and a second for him and like a mid-tier prospect.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Or honestly, if somebody's willing to hand you 2 first-round picks, I would take it and run.
Oh yeah, I would too.
I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. If you know he's not coming back and the best you can get for him is 5th-round picks, it's better than nothing. Especially if you're in that position, like we said, where you're floating around the standings. Like they're in 6th today. They can be in – well, they're not going to go to dead last. They got like a 20-point lead on Arizona. But they could fall to 7th tomorrow, and they could jump as far as 3rd by Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can see him going to Minnesota, kind of the same teams, as Chikran.
Yeah, it's like all the teams that seem to need have voids to fill there's a theme here. And I mean, of course, you got to put Pittsburgh in the conversation. Always. I mean, look, I'm sure Chris Letang or Ole Mata would love to play with him.
Yeah, that's up there. Minnesota. I could see even maybe the Islanders. If they know they can lock them up, I think they could.
They got too much invested in their defense, right? They just gave Pulock and Pelech, I think, $6 million each or $7 million each.
Yeah,
I think Pelech got 8 actually, but I don't see them being willing to. Look, the Islanders need if
they climb back towards a playoff spot, I could see them making a move for him. But I think the top landing spot for him is Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, there's no good reason why they shouldn't be. Again, just my opinion on that one. Okay, yeah, no. So Pelech is locked up for 5.5 for the next 8 years, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
Pulock is locked up at 6.1 for the next 8 years.
Oh my God.
All right, maybe this isn't so impossible. Well, you figure 1.5 comes off the book this year between Parise and Bellows.
Yep.
A lot of RFAs to deal with this year. Dobson, who is a priority.
Yeah, of course.
Robin Salo, priority. Chara and Green, that's another 1.5 total out.
Yep.
Sebastian Aho, I don't know if I tender him a contract because obviously he's not going to get that much playing time.
For the right price, but yeah.
Thomas Hickey comes off the books, which is another $2 million. Clutterbuck's 3.5 will come off. Like they'll have money to play with. You know what I mean? Like they're going to have $13 million roughly 14 million to play with on July 13th. You know what I mean? But I guess half of the battle is how inflated is Klingberg's ego.
This is true, which I mean, from a viewer's perspective, I don't think it is, but
from a viewer's perspective, and just because you never really hear anything negative about him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have to lean out to say that, and the dogs agree. That he's not. I don't see him being that kind of a spiteful guy, or not spiteful, greedy.
Yes,
but. Before we move on, we got to talk about our friends over at the Primetime Rundown. So the Primetime Rundown is one of our better sports shows on the network. And by better, I mean the absolute best. You can catch them on Fridays at 7 o'clock. And if you can't catch them live on YouTube, you can always watch them back on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. You can watch YouTube's on demand, obviously, and you can find them on Spotify. With that being said, also, we have our guys that deal with the Squared Circle and the Essential Wrestling Podcast. You can find them Tuesdays with their new start time at 5 p.m. with all the same locations. And if you can't catch them live, you can always catch them on demand by searching the Eastern Observer on YouTube. I'm getting better at these plugs every day.
Nice plug, dude.
I'm getting better at those every week. And by better, I mean I've done it twice. All right, so that's our midway commercial. How do you feel? You want to talk about the All-Star picks yet, or should I save that for a little bit more? Let it fire you up a bit.
Is there anything else big I want to do I want to go over before we go there. Because there's
one
name that's really going to... Yeah, you know what? Want to talk about that?
You want to go straight to Bobby Clark?
Yeah, let's do that.
Bobby Clark was not particularly nice to Ron Hextall.
That's putting it lightly.
Obviously, I think everybody would consider Ron Hextall's time in Philadelphia a little bit interesting, to say the least.
That's a good word.
You know, he definitely made some questionable decisions. Bobby Clark, who's obviously now an executive with the Flyers organization, shed some light on most of Ron Hextall's moves, particularly one being drafting Nolan Patrick 2 overall, and really not taking no for an answer. Not really much of a direct quote here, but they basically said that Hextall came in, alienated everybody's decisions, and said, we're taking Patrick, that's that. I don't really want to hear it. Which obviously isn't necessarily a bad move. But when you take into account that now Bobby Clark says, yeah, we told him not to take Nolan Patrick. We wanted this kid, young kid, defenseman. I think he ended up going like 5th or 6th overall. Cale Makar. Yeah, that changes the story a little bit. When none of your scouts want somebody who's a consensus #1 overall pick, that people even looked at the Devils like they were insane for passing him up.
Yeah.
Do you really put blame on Hextall here, or do you think he made the right call?
No, I put the blame on him. I mean, you have this team of people that do this research and they're supposed to advise you. Why all of a sudden would you go against them? It's their job. I mean, what are you gonna do? You gonna say your one mind is better than a group of 9? It doesn't make any sense.
Looking back on it, it's hard to not say that Hextall was an idiot for not taking.
Of course,
yeah. But at the time, I don't know how much you really blame him. As crazy as that might sound, when somebody's your consensus 1st overall pick and he falls into your lap at #2 because the team in front of you took a gamble already, I feel like my personal opinion in all sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, the top 5 picks are best available. Does not matter what you need, what you have. Because eventually, if said player doesn't pan out, all right, you got trade bait at least.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think if I go back to the 2017 draft, was that?
Mm-hmm.
And you told me he was taking Nolan Patrick, I don't think many people would bat an eye to it. I don't think Nolan Patrick is necessarily a bad player either. I just think he's made out of tissue paper and glass.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had a lot of those head issues the last couple seasons that kept him out for a bit. But when he came into the NHL, I mean, I think it was a preseason game versus Boston or you guys. Like with 5 seconds left in the first period, he just starts throwing haymakers with somebody. As an 18-year-old kid who's been in the league for 25 minutes. You know what I mean? To me, that kind of, at the time, spoke high volumes about his character. And that he was going to fit into the Flyers just fine.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
No, it did not.
And here we are. It gives us a piece to talk about 5 years later. Bobby Clark went on to say a couple of other things, basically questioning a lot of his draft decisions and questioning a lot of his trade decisions. One that probably slaps Flyers fans the hardest is trading this guy called Braden Shen.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy who I think is a Stanley Cup champion now.
Yep.
In St. Louis, 2019. Yep. Never forget. Looking at Hextall's trade history, which I know there's a lot, bear with me. not every trade here was bad.
No, absolutely not.
A lot of these trades, he definitely. There's some head turners here. I mean, in 2015, if you told me you were trading Braden Coburn for Radko Gudas, I'd probably look at you like you were crazy.
I mean, also in 2015, though, the 2 picks for the pick that got them Travis Konechny, that's not a bad pick at all. That's not a bad trade at all.
No,
it's a very good trade.
One trade next to the Braden Shen trade, obviously, that I know didn't sit well with a lot of people. The Scott Hartnell trade, because I know he was considered a fan favorite in Philadelphia. And you got back RJ Umberger, that I don't think he played more than about 25 minutes there either.
Yeah, to do with the crazy guys.
I mean, again, trading Vinny Lecavalier, even though he was at the tail end of his career, that's probably not somebody you trade when in 2016 you're still considered a pretty serious playoff team. I don't know. You want that veteran presence, in my opinion, and especially when you're going to get Jordan Wheel in return. That's probably not the best trade. But I mean, if you look up and down the list, I mean, thanks for Otto Koivula. I'll thank you for that. I mean, there are a couple of players he gave away for free. I mean, Peter Straka, it was for a conditional 7th round pick.
Literally for free.
Yeah, the condition was never met. The Devils kept the pick.
Dustin Tokarski, future considerations.
Yeah, and the future consideration was never fulfilled. The Braden Shen trade going to 2017. At the time, probably not the worst trade, especially when you kind of consider Joel Farabee. He's still in their lineup. He's still a regular. Probably not ideal still, because I know this is the trade that really does not sit well with almost any Flyer fan.
Yeah, how can it?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you see what he's done. I mean, look, if your last name is Shen and you go to the Flyers, you have no shot. You know what I mean? Like, you're rare sticking around for more than a couple of years.
Honestly.
But when you look at the overall trade list, there are some trades that did kind of work out well for him.
There are, like you said, they are not all bad.
Like the Mark Streit trade for Valtteri Filppula was a fantastic trade. Especially, the pick didn't necessarily work out, but you still got a solid return in a player. And, both of those guys ended up having very good careers.
There's just a lot of, like, it's just some bad. There's a couple decent ones, and then there's a bunch of just, who cares?
Well, yeah,
that's kind of what I'm looking at. It's not all bad. There's a couple good ones, but for the most part, it's a glass of water. It has no flavor to it.
So in a weird way, I have a hard time saying that he was a terrible GM.
No, I don't think you can call him a terrible GM. I mean, the Flyers were a very good team.
Well, yeah, but he kept his team in the playoffs up until he was relieved of his duties in 2018. But up until 2018, they were pretty much right in it at all times. I mean, look, here's another one that actually just caught my eye. If you go to 2018, you basically got Peter Mrazek for free when Peter Mrazek was still considered a very good goalie in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to really say that he did bad, especially when you look at the service totals of what he traded in that top left corner.
Yep.
That took me a while to calculate. But every player he traded gave him about half a point a game. Okay, not bad. His drafts, not the best.
That's a very soft way to put it.
Yeah, I can't say what I really want to say because then we'll get bleeped, and I don't want to get yelled
Yeah,
at.
okay.
Travis Sanheim was a good pick. Oscar Lindblom, turns out he's going to be that diamond in the rough. You get him in a late round, and he panned out.
Yeah.
2015 was not arguably, far and away his strongest draft.
Absolutely.
Provorov, I know there's rumors that they've been trying to get rid of him. Nothing's really been confirmed. But Travis Konecny is the star of that draft.
Oh, yeah.
The 2016 draft is a
have Carter Hart.
Lost cause. Yeah. I mean, Carter Hart.
And even that.
And 2017 was when we saw Nolan Patrick, Morgan Frost. Morgan Frost is going to be a hell of a player eventually.
Yeah.
And his last draft here with Joel Farabee, again, not a bad draft. The only problem with this is, again, if you start looking at those service numbers, a lot of these guys, as crazy as this is going to sound, because there is almost 1,900 games played here, just about 60% of this list has not even touched NHL ice yet.
I was going to say,
think about it. All right, so those 1,850 games are basically split between Sanheim, Provorov, Lindblom, Hart, Patrick. I think maybe even Morgan Frost had a game or two in there, and Joel Farabee.
Yeah.
That right there is about 1,000 games. Everybody else was like 3 games here, 8 games there, an injury stint for 12 games here.
Yeah, I mean, that's you want to at least get a couple, find a couple at least bars of silver in your late round picks.
Yeah, I mean, this guy was just playing with bronze coins.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, there was like a silver nugget.
Every once in a while.
But I mean, overall, it's kind of hard to say that he was you're not willing to call him a terrible GM. I'm certainly not.
No.
I mean, so far, he's been doing pretty well in Pittsburgh.
I could say, yeah.
Pittsburgh is still in it every year.
Yep.
They haven't had a draft that's really made you kind of wonder. The only thing I haven't seen from him in Pittsburgh is like a ridiculous trade.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and it's probably going to come, and I'm going to be mad about it.
We just named 4 guys that could probably end up there in the next couple weeks.
One of them will be on Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, it would not surprise me.
So I do not. I'm not on the side of Mr. Bobby Clark here.
To me, I hate to say it, he just sounds like a bitter guy who.
Yeah, like that's just a bad look. Like, why come out and do that?
Yeah, there was no reason to do that, and I mean, you didn't get the greatest return in the Patrick trade either.
Yeah,
but you still were able to get something out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to me, he just sounds like a bitter guy who can't get out of the glory days of the late 70s.
Yeah. He's oh my God. Who's the coach of the White Sox? The old time base. Yes. Yeah.
That guy sucks. Yeah, but he's another one who can't get with the times.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of getting with the times, see what I did there? For the All-Star game. And by time for the All-Star game, I mean that's still not for like another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But the rosters are out.
Yeah, rosters are out.
Which is hilarious because I think I texted you about half a dozen times this week. Give me your roster predictions. Put them in the Google Doc so I can make the images for it. And then when you told me you were going to do it, I think within a half an hour the rosters were out.
It was literally within maybe 20 minutes.
And I think I even said to you on like Wednesday too. I was like, just so you know, the captains were announced, so the rosters should be not far behind. So
yep.
Maybe don't waste your time.
Not only were they not far behind, they were right up their ass.
So the All-Star game has upset a lot of people this year. One of them being Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
Who is very unhappy. basically saying it's an all-star game, not a participation game, which I hate to say it, I agree with him.
I also completely agree with him.
Yeah, I understand the marketing behind it, and every team gets a little piece of revenue because they'll get their favorite players' all-star jersey and the T-shirt. You know what I mean? And it's ticket sales for people who are going to travel.
Yeah.
But if you don't belong there, you don't belong there.
It's correct. There's no reason to have the likes of certain people and not the likes of others just because they have to include every team.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I'm not going to name anybody because really, if you look at the rosters up and down, they are good all-star rosters. Don't get me wrong.
They are.
But a guy like Rasmus Dahlin,
I was about to say him,
should not be at the all-star game.
There is absolutely no reason for him to be in this lineup and a couple of Florida Panthers to not be in this lineup.
So basically, because that's where this segued into, we're gonna start with the Atlantic. Overall, it's a good team. Jack Campbell, he had this handed to him, and I mean, just by looking at that picture, he looks like he's in middle school. Vasilevsky, he was hard to actually fit into the graphics because of his chest protector. I mean, all right. So how about this? Let's work from left to right here. Drake Babison, 100% earned it.
Yes, absolutely.
100%. He's been having a killer year.
Mm-hmm.
Huberdeau, no question, earned it.
Without a doubt.
Austin Matthews, whether he earned it or not, the league was sending him. Moving on. Dylan Larkin is kind of questionable for me.
He's fringe. Yeah, he's fringe.
He's a fringe guy. Like, if you told me he was last man in,
yeah.
Yeah, okay. In this stupid format of everybody gets one player to go, I know it's kind of harder to do, but if we were under the format that the Pro Bowl was under, and if you were good, you went, I would sub out Dahlin. I'd send Mo Sider, and in Larkin's place, I'd send Lucas Raymond.
I don't hate that. Personally, those are the two guys I would sub out, but I would be putting in the two boys from Florida and have a nice 3-man squad from Florida on the Atlantic Division.
I'll tell you what. How about this? I'll do you one better.
Yeah.
Do everything I said, but if we're following the format of you have to be good to be in the All-Star game, get Nick Suzuki off the screen.
Absolutely. He blended in with Hedman's jersey. I didn't even realize he was there.
Well, I hit him back there because he's a rebel.
Yeah. That's just silly.
Nobody on Montreal should be sniffing the All-Star. They should already be at the draft table.
Honestly, yeah. Montreal's so bad, but it's really what really pisses me off is Dahlin and not Ekblad.
Stanley Cup, Andrew.
I know. Listen,
that was Stanley Cup.
Look, those were COVID times. They were messed up times. They were dark times. We don't talk about it.
I'm going to sound like a very, very bitter Islander fan here, but do you have any idea? Just say we beat Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what we would have done to their faces?
Yeah, that would have been a rough series.
And you know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to let it out now, too. If we played Dallas 2 years ago, we would have beat them, too. Sorry.
I don't know, dude. Dobby was on fire.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway.
But, how is Ekblad not on the roster? Like, come on.
Ekblad's another one who could have subbed out Dahlin.
He's got 35 points in 37 games. And you even have Barkov, who he doesn't have – his point totals aren't that high because he missed a bunch of games. He's averaging over a point a game.
Yeah. I mean – and this is going to – you'll – I don't want to say you'll notice, but you'll obviously see that this is a recurring theme. A lot of people got snubbed. One guy who snubbed that you haven't mentioned, and I know you're not going to mention, but I'm going to do it for you.
Okay.
Brad Marchand.
Ugh.
Look, I don't like him either, but he's a top 5 winger in the league, and he should be on here.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong.
I saw a couple of people say, "Oh, where's Stamkos?"
Enough.
Stamkos is underperforming this year. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, he's got 22 points, 23 points. I don't even know exactly how many points he's got off the top of my head. I'll tell you right now, though, he's got points. That's what he's got.
He's got points. Trademark it.
Okay, he's got more than I thought he did. He's got 46. Yeah, he got snubbed hard. Okay, yeah, he did get snubbed. He's well over a point a game.
Just a bit of stuff.
But I mean, you also look. My only other problem with this whole you have to be good to make it, based off of just everything we said, the Atlantic Division would have been Tampa, Florida, and Toronto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It really would have.
So, like, I understand, like, and this is
and
where
Batherson. They keep Batherson.
Yeah, no, he's untouchable. Nobody touches him. It's this is like I said, it gets weird because like I'm for the one person per team, but I'm not because the only problem is again like a guy like Rasmus Dahlin has no business being on this list. I can't think of many other people in the Atlantic that stand out to me on the top of my head. I could be wrong. I'm sure they'll come back to me later. Probably one of if not the most loaded team, and in my personal favorite to win the fake All-Star tournament, the Central Division.
That team is definitely disgusting.
I mean, look, when you just looking at it alone, and your top pairing is probably going to be Makar, McKinnon, and Kyle Connor. Like, that's gross.
That's an absolute tank of a line.
You know, I mean, Kyle Connor is probably one of the sneakiest players in the league and so under the radar.
Yeah.
DeBrincat is slowly going to turn in. He'll become the face of the Blackhawks once Kane and Taves retire.
Yep.
In my personal opinion. I know we touched on him a little bit last week. I'm not going to get into that. Kaprizov, absolutely no shock there.
Yeah, not at all.
Clayton Keller, again, he's a participation trophy holder.
Mm-hmm.
UC Saros makes total sense to me.
Man's a brick shit house, yeah.
Yeah, he's insane. Nathan McKinnon goes without saying. Makar goes without saying. Pavelski, you know, I questioned it at first, and then I realized what he's doing at what age he's doing, and he's absolutely earned it.
Yeah, 130, upper 30s in points, absolutely.
Did you ever think that forget about doing a podcast? Did you ever think there'd be a day where you'd be talking about an All-Star game and Cam Talbot in the same sentence?
No.
Because he's another one who is on absolute fire this year.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Yeah, absolutely killing it. Not too many complaints about the Central Division. Division.
It's fine.
Nazem Kadri was probably the biggest snub of everybody. I think he's going to end up being the Central Division last man in.
As much as I want it to be Jason Robertson, 100%.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, if you think about it, there's absolutely no reason.
No, there's not.
He didn't make it. He's top 5 points in the league, not even on the league. You know, and like I was saying last week, when you have a guy on a team with Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Gabriel Landeskog, Cale Makar, and Naz Kadri is your leading point scorer, normally that's a bad problem. That is a very good problem to have.
Yeah. No, he's definitely going to get last minute. I can't imagine him not. I mean, unless it's a vote, so who knows?
The Central Division is a very hard team for me to bash.
Yeah.
Other than Naz Kadri,
no, I'm like you said, I'm good with it. I don't have much to say.
This one I'm okay with. I'm cool with this. I have no complaint.
Yeah, be a fun team to watch.
The Pacific Division.
Is hard because, there's some great things going on here and then some not.
Yeah, I mean, again, Draisaitl,
of course,
given.
Yeah,
Gaudreau, given. Stone and Pietrangelo, not a fan.
I definitely like Pietrangelo more than Stone.
I like Pietrangelo more than Stone, but if I had to replace someone I would say March though.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know, like that to me, that's just like I don't want to call it a no-brainer, but I mean, come on.
I completely agree with you.
Absolutely no issues with Timo Meyer.
No, not at all.
No issue at all. Oh, look, there's our boy Thatcher Demko.
There's a boy.
Yeah, he's giving you the side eye right now.
He's like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, he's like, why are we here? Well, this is called the All-Star Game. I know you're not familiar with it because you're not even familiar.
Is this the playoffs?
He's not even familiar with a record above 500. This is the first time he's ever seen one of those. Gibby, no complaint. Absolutely not.
Yep. Stone.
Adrian Kempe kind of was a little bit of a shock. I'm gonna be honest with you. Although I know he's having another fantastic year, he's not normally the first name that comes to mind when you think All-Star Game.
Yeah.
But you know, like I'm glad. You know, I'm not even being like sarcastic. Like really good for him.
Yep.
And then there's Jordan Eberle. I'm not going to question it too much because I know Seattle is obviously in rough shape.
Mm-hmm.
If it was me, who else do you really send at that point? You know,
ideally, here's what would have happened to me, in my opinion: is Thatcher Demko gets yeeted into space. You put
I like with
Jacob Markstrom as the second goalie.
Yeah, I don't know how Markstrom did not make it.
Makes no sense. You take out Mark Stone, and then from the Canucks, JT Miller goes.
Yeah, another one who was totally snubbed.
I mean, he's got almost 40 points, and you put the goalie with a 2.6 goals against average.
Yeah, I can't particularly wrap my head around that one.
Just because you want the world's best third line grinder in Mark Stone on the team.
Yeah, I don't know. Mark Stone's another one where the hype around him was real a couple years back when he was being traded, and I didn't get it then, and I still don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, like I like Mark Stone. I like the type of hockey player he is. I like what he does, but he's not an all-star game player.
No, he's not. I mean, maybe when he was still in Ottawa.
That's a big maybe.
And that's a hard maybe. I mean, you could even make a case for Chandler Stevenson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's leading the team in just about everything. Mark Stone's only got 7 goals, 18 assists.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to really make a case against Pietrangelo, but Shea Theodore could have made it.
Yeah.
Vegas definitely had some options. As far as the Eberle move goes, I can't say it bothers me too much.
No, it's fine.
Because it bothered me at first because when he was here, I was like, this guy is not an all-star. What are you guys on? And then you realize in Seattle, he's leading in everything and then some plus more.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a little more sense. Overall, not too many complaints about the Pacific.
No, it's just a goal. It's Thatcher Demko and Mark Stone that piss me off.
Those are the only two that really are getting under my skin too. Just looking at it. But last and certainly not least, and I saved this one for last on purpose.
Yeah, I figure.
We've got our friends.
And Mr. Participation Trophy, Claude Giroux.
Mr. Participation Trophy, Claude Giroux. Participation Trophy, Tristan Jarry.
Yep. I don't understand how you put Tristan Jarry in this roster and not Igor Shesterkin.
So one of my friend Jason, had made up a kind of an idea, and I don't know how you're going to feel about it.
Oh dear God!
Because in the everybody is a representative thing,
mm-hmm.
and I just noticed that this graphic has Noah Dobson, not Adam Pelech. That's embarrassing. Igor in for Jarry. But because you still need to send a Penguins rep Gensel in for Kreider.
That's fine.
I don't necessarily see a problem with it, but based off of how everybody played, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's you know why I'm also super okay with that in terms of what this tournament is supposed to be, what you're supposed to be watching, and in the type of games you're supposed to be being entertained by. Chris Kreider is not the type of player that you want playing in this kind of tournament. He's not flashy. He's an up and down player, which is great. It works really well for him in games, but he's not going to benefit from this atmosphere.
Yeah, he's not a guy with the, how do I say it, the silky mitts.
Yeah.
He's not going between the legs, upside down, doing cartwheels, scoring goals. That's
no.
I mean, I could see him. I could see him having a good run on skills night, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd probably see him in the fastest skater comp.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I definitely see him in the accuracy comp.
Yes.
Other than that,
not even just looking at the Rangers. I mean, I know the league always will talk to coaches first and see if they've heard from players if they want to go or not.
Right.
Because there's always stats, but it makes way more sense for Artemi Panarin over Chris Kreider to be in an All-Star game. It makes way more sense for Mika Zibanejad to be there over him just because of the type of players they are. So I'm thinking maybe our Panarin didn't want to go, and I don't know, but I hope Zibanejad wins the last man in.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different people I could see winning the last man in for the Metro.
Mm-hmm.
I do see Matt Barzal being one of them.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I see Panarin being another. I could see all of the people crying that Crosby's not here getting him in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, I saw more complaints. Crosby's not in the game, and this is insane because he's the best in the world. Well, Crosby also didn't start playing regularly till about 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You do have to play in the regular season to play the pond hockey game. There's so many other people you could have made a case for. I know you don't care for him. If you're going based off just stats, Tom Wilson.
Yes.
I know, but just based off stats. You know what I mean? There's a case for him.
Yeah.
There is a case. I mean, Claude Giroux. Based off his stats, he should be there. Gensel, Letang's having another great year.
Gensel's up for last man in.
I think if there's going to be a 3-way tie or a 4-way tie, it's going to come down to Igor, Barzal, Panarin, and Gensel. And I'm sorry, I don't think it's close after that between anybody else.
Well, for last, can you vote anybody? You can vote from this list of people for last man in because they released a list of people.
No, you can vote anybody.
You can vote anybody? Okay. I just voted for Zibanejad 10 times, so that's all I know.
I voted for Barzal 10 times.
Yeah. But they keep showing the same list of people, though.
Yeah. Again, the Metro is another one of those divisions I don't have too many complaints about.
No, it's really just
the
goaltending again.
The only thing that drives me nuts is that Tristan Jarry pick.
Crazy. Absolutely ridiculous.
Especially because seeing firsthand how the Islanders manhandled him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when the Islanders were beating Pittsburgh, they weren't beating him 2-1 and 3-2 in overtime. The last game of the series, they beat him 6-2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They abused that kid. And look, is he having a rebound year? Maybe. I don't know. I don't pay attention to him enough. I can't give you an honest answer.
Well, I am excited to see, as much as the team is bad, Jack Hughes in that type of game. It should be fun.
Yeah, he's another one that kind of makes the whole Crosby not getting in a little contradicting.
Yeah.
He only started playing regularly a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But he's also got 30 points. And
he's the reason the Devils are even somewhat fighting to not be in last.
Yeah. And we're the other reason. So, so based off of the rosters before the last man in, who's your favorites?
The Central.
Yeah, it's got to be the Central. How you can bet against a team that looks like this is crazy person talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I mean, like, I know there's not too many all-star names on here, no pun intended, like Kyle Connor, like Clayton Keller. But as far as being well-rounded, this is probably the team.
It's a very well-rounded team, and especially with the goaltending too, and UC Saros especially.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you can get. I know it doesn't count for much, and we're going to sound like crazy people trying to plan this thing out, but if I'm the Central, I start Talbot in the first game and play Saros in the finals.
Probably.
That's what I would do. I mean,
yeah.
But that's also saying that Connor McDavid doesn't put 8 goals up in the first 10 minutes. So,
yeah, I mean, is the bracket the two Western divisions play each other first?
The Central's going to play the Pacific. The Metro's going to play the Atlantic.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The winner of the two divisions are going to play each other.
So it's going to be the Metro and the Central. Okay, got it.
Pretty much. Well,
the Atlantic is going to get their asses handed. I think the Atlantic's the worst team.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like the Atlantic is the worst team, but I definitely feel like they are a one-line team.
Yeah, and I just think that like the slack that the Pacific might have, they still have Leon Draisaitl, Johnny Gaudreau, and Connor McDavid that'll score for them.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at the Atlantic right now, their first line is the writing on the wall. The first line is Huberdeau, Matthews, and Edmund.
Yeah.
After that, I'm saying Batherson, Larkin, and Darlene.
Which is, I mean, meh.
And then, see, this actually works out pretty well for you because if your last man in is Ekblad, your third pairing is Bergeron, Suzuki, Ekblad.
Yeah, I mean, you throw Ekblad or Barkov in here, and the team is immediately way better.
Yeah. I know you don't like him, but you throw Marchand in here, and the team's way better.
Even though he is way better.
You know,
but if he gets in over Ekblad, I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh, he's going to.
If and when Aaron Ekblad is not an All-Star this year, I'm going to lose my mind.
So, with that being said, we have run out of things to bore people with.
Yes, we have.
It was a very slow week in the hockey world. And by slow, I mean all the news came in on Monday and Tuesday, and then the rest.
Yeah, we spent the last 3 days doing absolutely nothing.
Hopefully next week's a little bit more eventful.
I mean, the games are ramping back up, so.
Yeah, the games are coming back up. We'll have a little bit more to talk about on our teams. I mean,
I'll be at the game on Wednesday, so I can talk about that.
The stat line here probably won't change too much. Yeah, I'll be there Monday when the Islanders play the Flyers.
You might see him win.
And I'll be there for Toronto the following Saturday, too, the 22nd.
There you go.
So I have a pretty busy week ahead of me. You got a busy Wednesday ahead of you.
Yep.
Good job today. Gold star for you.
Well, pat on the butt.
49 more gold stars, and you get an ice cream sandwich party in class.
Chipwich or like the rectangular one?
I like you. I'll give you the Chipwich.
Nice.
Nice. So from myself, from Andrew, because remember I made sure I said your name this time. Andrew.
He did it.
Knows who you are now.
He did it.
I did it. So now that everybody knows, from Tyler and from Andrew, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Enjoy your saucy Sunday.
Ooh.